The revolution is here. It's only been 1 month into 2021, and already it's been great. If you thought 2020 was the year of 2020 vision, the big red pill moment, people waking up, you haven't seen nothing yet. Strap yourself in. Because if you haven't heard, there's been a new Occupy Wall Street movement. I guess you can say Occupy Wall Street 2.0. By the way, to support independent content and voices like this, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and also like this video. So what recently happened is, and if you haven't heard about the controversy surrounding the Robinhood app, for instance, so there's this group called WallStreetbets, or r/WallStreetbets. They mainly operate on Reddit. This group gets together on Discord. The company or the group has been around for about 9 years or so. It's a way of getting ordinary citizens together to talk about their disenfranchised, how they've been disenfranchised in the financial market, stocks, Wall Street betting, and how they can use it to their advantage, how they can further gain access to a system that they were kept out of from making money, educating, informing each other, just average everyday citizens, regular blue collar individuals, talking about stocks and put options, short sales, etc. They've been around for a while, but recently they said, you know what, we've had enough. We've been screwed during this pandemic. A lot of people put out of work for good and or saw their hours cut if their jobs weren't completely eliminated. They got their stimulus checks and they was like, you know what? While we were suffering, struggling financially to find means to eat, work, etc., food lines are extremely long by the miles. You've had these fat cats in Wall Street, financial execs, running off with billions. And I'm not kidding. More than 52% of all corporations, all companies in the United States, and I believe in the UK, saw record profits in 2020. They didn't just make the same amount of money, saw equal profits and or revenues. They made more money than they ever had. And you had a lot of, in fact, all of the billionaires in this country and in the United Kingdom saw on average an increase in their wealth during the pandemic and during the lockdowns of over $400 billion here in the US, and the billionaires in the United Kingdom saw an overall average increase in their wealth of over 400 billion euros. That's a lot of money during a lockdown. Why? It's because everything was favored their way, whether it was the mom and pop small shops that were closed, small restaurants that were forced to close. And so you had no choice, but if you were going to buy goods, buy from the big chain stores. But then you also had the fat cats who were manipulating and or working the, trading options, were still making lots of money off of bets, essentially. And so the average individual is sitting back and saying, you know what? While we're suffering, you're making off with billions and aren't doing enough to help out those of us who are struggling. We're going to take our stimulus checks, or what money we do have, get together, look at a lot of these stock options and flip the tables on you. So essentially what happened is you had millions of individuals who are part of this Wall Street bets get together. They found that a lot of these hedge fund groups were doing what they call short sales on, I believe it was AMC and GameStop, to name a few. So if you're not aware, pretty much the movie industry is going under because of the pandemic and the lockdowns that have closed movie theaters for the most part, and are extremely cut off their occupancy rate. So they're really not making any money, and a lot of these movie theaters are going under as a result, and now people are forced to watch things via streaming. Hollywood's been affected, so they're going under. And then the same thing with GameStop. So if you're not familiar, GameStop is a game store where you can go buy video game systems. But now again, with a lot of these, PlayStation 4s, PlayStation 5s, the Xbox One, the Wii, etc. A lot of these game systems are set up where now you can download the games straight to the gaming console at home. You need not go to a physical store to buy an actual video game disc, etc. anymore. You can just download it. And so GameStop is going the way of Blockbuster. So what you had is you had these billion-dollar hedge fund companies or million-dollar hedge funds see this and say, you know what? We're going to bet against GameStop. We're going to bet against AMC theaters. We're going to buy the stock, or let me rephrase that. They're doing what is called a short sell, meaning they're borrowing the stock options at one price, at a higher price, selling it back into the market, betting against it, betting that the stock price is going to go down, and then buy it back at the lower price, making up the difference and make billions off of it. That's the plan. I know it's different than what a lot of people think when it comes to stocks. Most people think, oh, I'm going to buy a stock at a low price and I'm betting for it so that when it hits a high point, I can sell it. No, short sell is when you buy it at a higher price, you're betting against it, believing that it's going to go down in price. So you're buying down like a put option, and you're going to make lots of money off of it. And so what the people did from Wall Street Bets is they saw what was happening and they said, you know what, we're going to flip the tables on you. You've been screwing us for decades upon decades and really made off like a bandit during this pandemic. We're going to flip the table on you. We're going to buy these stocks and inflate the prices. So I believe GameStop was around $4 a share. And with all of these millions of individuals from Wall Street Bets buying up the stock, they inflated the price up to over $100 a share, if I'm not mistaken. So all of these hedge funds that were betting against the stock and betting that it will go down lost billions of dollars. And if I'm not mistaken, Citadel was one of those. So you saw the people were actually turning the tables on Wall Street and saying, you know what, we're going to screw you the way you were screwing us. But here's what happened. Here's the problem. Now, this was Wall Street 2.0. They're using their brains. They're really taking it to Wall Street. They're not just protesting out in Central Park, New York City, or out, outside the streets of Wall Street and essentially doing nothing. Yeah, they got the attention of a lot of politicians who wanted to cater to them a little, but nothing was actually done to fundamentally change the system, to hurt the pockets of those in Wall Street. So this actually did it. This was actually smarter. But what happened was you had, for instance, the Robinhood app, which was supposed to be an app for the people, named after Robin Hood, the story of Robin Hood, steal from the rich to give to the poor. And the idea behind the company was, you know what, we're going to help the disenfranchised, those who didn't have access to the markets, to gain easier access to Wall Street in order to bet, sell and buy stock without having to worry about commissions and they're going through a middleman. But what Robinhood wound up doing in this instance was, as soon as the hedge funds started losing billions because the people were flipping the bets against them, Robinhood said, you know what, we're going to stop it. No, stop. You can't do this. We can't do this. And they kept people from buying up the stocks. They forbid, now they said you can sell it, but they were losing lots of money off, now, and they pretty much put a stop to it. These hedge funds were getting screwed, and Robinhood said, you know what, we're going to put a stop to it. You can't sell anymore. You can't buy anymore. And then on top of that, there's a social media platform called Discord, where these millions of individuals who are part of this Wall Street Bets group, they were talking about what was going on, what they were doing, how they were actively doing this. So they were using Discord as well to talk about their strategy in real time. And what Discord did was Discord pretty much canceled the group, censored them. And again, now I've talked about censorship a lot in my previous videos. Please go ahead, check them out. They're using hate speech as their justification. This is weaponized, the term hate speech. And I said it in my last video. I believe in my last video. I'll put the link there and I'll post it here so you can go ahead and click on it if you want to check it out later. I did a whole video on how they're literally moving us to a system or a situation, a world where you will not hear or see anything that has not been officially approved by those corporate heads. And they will censor anything that will challenge the mode, challenge the official narrative as hate speech, false information, or disinformation, whatever term that they want to use to justify censoring anything that challenges the narrative. Well, here they're weaponizing the term hate speech for individuals who are taking it to Wall Street legally, mind you. There's nothing illegal about this. There's nothing fraudulent or wrong about it. They're playing the system, playing it by the rules. They're just flipping the table against those who have been using this, gaming the system, gaming the financial markets for their own gain. They're turning the tables against them. And now you have this social media site, Discord. I'm surprised Twitter and Facebook hasn't jumped on it yet, but we'll see. But Discord has now used hate speech as a reason to disrupt this group from communicating. They should still be able to use Twitter and their other sites, but this is getting really dangerous when you have all of these forces now colluding to help the billionaires, the oligarchs of the world, running this Planet Corporation. So it's getting really interesting, but I said the revolution's here because, again, these are people who are now waking up to what's really going on in the system, and now they're using it against them, and or they're seeing what's really going on. They're seeing their jobs and their rights to be able to work and or have basic freedoms like being able to go outside, get a bite to eat, or go to your neighbor's house, or hell, if you're in Michigan, seeing your right to go to your own second home being taken away at the drop of a dime, flip of a switch, just like that. They're seeing what these governments are capable of doing. They're seeing their right to free speech, right to communicate, being attacked on big social media sites like this, again, under the guise of disinformation or protecting the public against hate speech, things like that. They're seeing their right to free speech being challenged. When you also take away what they feel as though their right to vote, because there are a lot of people who have legitimate concerns about what happened during the election and the fact that there was no forensic audit and or true investigation into what happened in key places wasn't done. They felt as though it was swept under the rug. They're like, all right, I don't have this option. Let me use the financial markets. And now they see the collusion in the financial markets, and a company like Robinhood essentially put a stop to free trade in such a way that was hurting the hedge fund capitalists. And you see Discord collaborating with Robinhood to say, you know what? Okay, you put a stop to them buying. We're going to put a stop to them talking. It's getting serious out there. You got to be aware of what's happening. I just wanted to speak on it to say, hey, the revolution is here. It's getting really interesting, folks. And it's really scary, again, seeing all of these avenues of protest being cut off by, by those in power. All of the avenues of protesting what's going on, whether it's your right to protest against a lot of these lockdowns and or restrictions on your rights to gather, right to make a living and to work and or to run your own business being taken away from you. Your voting rights potentially being disenfranchised by a system that had some irregularities, and the court systems tossing out cases, not on the merits, but on procedure, not even hearing the cases or the evidence. So you're seeing that being ignored. Now they saw that their financial means of getting back against the fat cats on Wall Street being taken away from them, and or at least inhibited, and watching all of their investments go down because, again, they can't buy. Their scheme has been put on a halt. For what? You're only going to lead other forms of revolt as the only option. So it's getting real serious out there. I want to know what your thoughts on what's going on right now. So leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Again, this is Bruce the Boss Brooks. Support independent content like this by subscribing to the channel against all of the censorship and or beating the algorithm. I'm out. Have a great weekend, y'all. Peace.